two consenting adults and they're just doing what they like to do in the bedroom and they're just having a good time. Well, wow. Oh, man, what a fucking side by side, huh? Oh, whoa, god damn. Oh, shit. Is it me? Is it just me? Or does it not seem as if there is a reoccurring theme when it comes to conservatives, especially and particularly conservative politicians, although I am sure that this does not only apply to the people in public office, where we see Republicans, conservatives, MAGA personalities, they go viral saying some of the most bigoted and hateful things about people in various groups, whether it be immigrants, whether it be Muslims, but especially when it comes to people that they label as sexually deviant, right? The degenerates. We're talking about people who are a part of the LGBTQ group, diaspora, trans people, gay people, lesbian people, people who identify by various pronouns, that we are now becoming more familiar with. It seems as if that these conservatives find nothing more detestable, disgusting, wicked than gay people or people who are a part of that, who identify with a less conventional sexual orientation, although there is nothing unusual or novel about it. These people have been a part of human civilization since the dawn of human civilization. Well, we are going to be taking a look at a very interesting and scandalous situation that has recently unfolded online and has grabbed the attention of people both on the right and the left. And that is, of course, this man right here, Byron Noem, I believe is how you say his name. Yeah, Byron Noem, the husband of Kristi Noem. And I mean, guys, would you just take a look at this shit right here? Take a look at this shit right here. Let me give you the full screen look. What the fuck is this? Yo, this is wild, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. This is wild. So, first and foremost, this is Byron Noem, the husband of Kristi Noem. Do you know who Kristi Noem is? Just in case you've forgotten, let me give you a refresher on who Kristi Noem is. So this is the official portrait of Kristi Noem, who was previously the Secretary of Homeland Security. She has since been fired or removed from that position because of how poorly she handled the events that took place in Minnesota recently, particularly concerning the murder of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, which of course is in connection to the various protests that happened in Minnesota, protesting the ICE raids that were happening, where they were of course grabbing Latinos mostly off the street, right, under the suspicion that they are here as undocumented immigrants, and they were trying to carry out Trump's agenda for mass deportation. Anyway, she is no longer the Secretary of Homeland Security. But yeah, this is Kristi Noem, man. Let me play you some of her greatest hits. This was her addressing the public after the tragic murder of Alex Preddy. Take a listen.
They need, and also preparing them for the upcoming days, which will significantly impact them and their citizens. The Trump administration and FEMA are working closely with them to get them information, to get them resources, and to help them be prepared and well equipped for the road ahead as we go through this next week. I do want to address the tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis today that unfolded on the streets. It occurred with DHS law enforcement as they carried out their lawful duties to keep Americans safe in the threat of criminal illegal aliens in this country.
Yes, the lawful duty of shooting an unarmed American citizen, right? Yes.
At 9:05 a.m., Central Time, the Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officials and officers were conducting targeted operations in Minneapolis against an illegal alien whose criminal history included domestic assault with intentionally inflicting bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm
this. You know, it's so fucking disgusting how conservatives, they lambast liberals and progressives and people on the left who advocate for better gun control laws and gun control policies. They like to say how people on the left are always trying to make guns seem scarier than they are by using their classification of them being semi-automatic weapons, right? Semi-automatic rifles. And all that means is that it's a gun that cannot fire, like you have to pull the trigger every time you fire the gun. That's all it means, that it's semi-automatic. An automatic gun, of course, is one where you can just hold down the trigger and it will just rapid fire bullets. And then, of course, you have bolt action guns where you have to basically, rack a new bullet every time you fire the gun. And so your standard 9mm pistol is technically a semi-automatic gun. But the reason she's using that classification is to do precisely what people on the right accuse people on the left of doing when they are referred to as semi-automatic weapons, which is she's trying to make it seem like the threat was greater than it was, trying to make it sound scarier. Oh, he approached the authorities with a semi-automatic weapon. Now, in all reality, Alex Brady never reached for his gun. He was a lawful gun owner. He had his gun permit, and he never at any point threatened any of the ICE agents. They manhandled him. I don't want to rehash the whole situation. It went very viral. You've probably seen it. But this was a man who was a nurse, by the way, who was just trying to assist a woman who was violently thrown to the ground by one of these ICE agents. And they bomb rushed him, disarmed him, and then proceeded to shoot him several times while he was unarmed and was being restrained by several ICE agents. And so, incredibly disgusting, incredibly disingenuous. It's just so nasty. And the fact that this is being done, this kind of smear campaign was done to a law-abiding American citizen who was just exercising his constitutional rights, is absolutely despicable.
Individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead.
After they shot him like fucking 8 times. Okay, yeah, so this is Kristi Noem, and I don't really believe in karma as a concept, and this really is not fair retribution. If this was a god enacting karmic justice, this is in no ways, balancing the scale in regards to the level of injustice and evil that this woman has helped to carry out in this country. However, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. And that's because her husband, this is her husband. This is her husband who was recently exposed by the Daily Mail. So let me read you this article. Kristi Noem's husband is today revealed as a secret cross-dresser who dons gigantic fake breasts and pink hot pants to chat with online fetish models. While his wife has operated at the highest echelons of government, handling matters of national security in her recent role as Secretary of Homeland Security, Byron Noem, 56, has been dressing up and paying adult entertainers to talk dirty. The Daily Mail has reviewed hundreds of messages involving 3 women from the bimbofication scene, where porn performers transform themselves into real-life Barbie dolls, by pumping colossal amounts of saline into their breasts. Mr. Noem has lavished praise on their surgically enhanced bodies, confessed his lust for huge, ridiculous boobs, and even made indiscreet remarks about his 34-year marriage to Miss Noem, our investigation can exclusively disclose. National security experts consulted by the Daily Mail said his brazen behavior could have left the 54-year-old MAGA favorite, who oversaw ICE's aggressive crackdown until she was removed from her position on March 5th, vulnerable to blackmail. If a media organization can find this out, you can assume with a high degree of confidence that a hostile intelligence service knows this as well, warned former CIA officer Mark, that's a name right there, Polymeropoulos. Goodness gracious. Boy, oh boy, where is that from? That sound like a fucking Marvel villain. God damn. Okay. In a selfie shared with one of his online contacts, Mr. Noem, an insurance mogul, can be seen squeezing into a flesh-colored crop top and skin-tight pink shorts. The father of 3 appears to have stuffed 2 balloons inside his shirt to resemble breasts, positioning the knots to mimic nipples. And goodness gracious, oh my Lord. Now, I'm sure this is a man that loves Jesus. It also looks like he's wearing lipstick, and he's making a kissy face. Is that blush that I see? So it looks like this man is also wearing makeup. He's in full drag, essentially, right? Almost. And he's got 2 balloons that he likes to stuff in shirts and pretend. I mean, he's probably trans. This is what it looks like. This is pretty weird. I think we can all agree that this is strange behavior, especially if this is supposedly a heterosexual man who believes in Jesus and praises the Lord, as a good MAGA Republican conservative. But again, like I said in the beginning of this video, this is a reoccurring theme. These people are so hateful, so bigoted. The hypocrisy is ridiculous. They talk all of this shit about gay people, about trans people, but are dressing up in these crazy outfits. He's also wearing a pair of hot pink leggings, right? I don't know. Where'd he get it? Aloe? Where's this from? Lululemon? Goddamn. Or is this his wife's? Is he one of these guys who dresses up in his wife's clothes when she's not around? Man. And look, if this was just a guy and he's into this kind of shit, then, you know what I'm saying? It's a free country, as they say. Live your life. Live your truth. But the problem is that men like this and people like his wife, they allow themselves to be used as weapons to say and do hateful things, right? Pass hateful policies, support hateful policies that target people who live a similar lifestyle. And by that, I mean, gay men, trans women, cross-dressing men, all of that shit. Right? People who live this life overtly, they live it out in the public, those people get demonized. But behind closed doors, this is how they are. This is how they are. We've seen this time and time again, man. And boy, oh boy, this has to be incredibly embarrassing. And that's a great point that was made by this CIA agent, or this former CIA officer, Mark, where he said, look, If the Daily Mail can get a hold of this shit, you don't think Russia got this shit? You don't think China got this shit? They got it, bro. They got hard drives of this shit. And I promise you, where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you can find one cockroach, you can usually find an infestation. I mean, we all have heard that it is a very common thing during conservative rallies and conventions that the Grindr app, which is a popular gay dating app, their servers always crash as hundreds, if not thousands, of closeted gay men flood these venues looking for a good time, looking for a man to spend time with, while voting for policies that seek to make the lives of people who are in these groups It seeks to make their lives miserable. And it's hilarious, and it's also fucking pathetic the way they are. Let's take a look at this, right? So they have this video right here. It's titled "A Look Back at Kristi Noem and Husband Byron Supporting Each Other." So let's hear. This is the guy. Check this out.
I want to introduce to you my husband, Brian, who's here with me today. He is my constant 24/7 reminder of our dedication to public service and that it's not a solo effort or done alone.
The thing about Kristi I admire the most is her work ethic. It doesn't matter what she's doing, if she's fixing fence or if she's saddling a horse or if she's working in Congress. Nobody will outwork her.
He has been a rock by my side, and
Ain't it crazy how once you find out that a guy was in the closet, when you hear him talk, all of a sudden you can start to hear the twang a little bit. You can start to hear a little bit of that, that zest starting to come out a little bit. If I had watched this prior to knowing this about this guy, I don't think I would have necessarily thought that this is a gay man in the closet. But when you hear him talk now, it's like, yeah, you can kind of hear it a little bit.
Or done alone.
The thing about Kristi I admire the most is her work ethic. It doesn't matter
her work ethic.
What she's doing, if she's
doing,
fixing fence or if she's saddling a horse.
Selling horse. Oh my God, this shit's hilarious. Oh my God, this shit is so funny. But it's funny, it's tragic. It's tragic that men like this, you know what I'm saying? Because he got his fetish. People are into different shit, man. Some people are into all kinds of weird shit. And as they say, don't yuck somebody else's yum. If it's two consenting adults and they're just doing what they like to do in the bedroom and they're just having a good time, well, wow. Oh, man, what a fucking side by side, huh? Oh, whoa! God damn! Oh, shit! I wasn't ready for this. Lord! Oh, he got multiple. Oh! Bro, this is his thing. He got different fits. Bruh. Oh man, sheesh, man. God damn, look at that. Another interesting thing about this relationship is that it is somewhat of an open secret, right? There's this rumor that a lot of people believe to be true, both on the right and the left, that Kristi Noem is actively engaged in an affair with another government official. Let's check this out. Shock. Moment Noem is asked about possible affair with aide. Let's check this out.
Why then, is the question, have you made Corey Lewandowski your de facto chief of staff who possesses an unchecked level of power at DHS? So according to the Wall Street Journal, you and Mr. L have a close relationship that has made President Trump, quote, uncomfortable. The president reported.
When Trump getting uncomfortable. When he's like, this feels a little sexually inappropriate. When Trump getting uncomfortable, there's got to be something there.
Reportedly denounced Corey Lewandowski as your chief of staff due to reports of a romantic relationship between the two of you. Corey has a decades-long record of physical battery, sexual harassment, illegal lobbying for a Venezuelan oil company, and bringing a loaded gun into a federal building. He is unqualified. So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my
ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So reclaiming
and
my
is an
time,
advisor.
Secretary.
Did you follow that? I thought she asked, did you have a sexual relationship with this man, right? did that sound like her giving an answer, a yes or a no? It didn't really sound like a yes or a no to me.
It is okay for you to be offended by the question.
It is okay
for you to be offended by the question.
Making
but it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
in
question.
Position. So what I would say
and
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do at the Department of Homeland Security every single
and without
day,
any hesitation,
every single day,
you should be wanting to answer that question.
Is garbage.
Because it is not about your sex life.
That you have brought
it is
that
about
up.
your
So
judgment.
that kind
Why then?
Right. See, to me, that's a yes. If you going up to your girl and be like, are you cheating on me with this man? And her answer is not, of course not. No. How dare you? I would never. I am absolutely flabbergasted that you would ever ask me such a thing. Of course, I am not cheating on you with that man, is what you would want your girl to say, or something, to that effect. But she's like, he's an employee of the government. Yeah, but listen to how he's described. I mean, this guy that she's allegedly cheating with. Let's listen to how this government official that's asking her, and it looks like this is in some sort of a court setting. And so the reason she doesn't want to give a yes or a no is because she doesn't want to lie under oath, which of course is a federal offense, which would lead to her facing some sort of penalty. Of course, we know with this administration, nobody's really ever held accountable. But still, right, you don't want to perjure yourself when you're on the stand. And so instead of answering the question, she deflects and she just rambles and says some fucking bullshit. All right, listen again to how this man, Ladowski is his name apparently. Yeah, listen to how he's described.
Uncomfortable. The president reportedly denounced Corey Lewandowski as your chief of staff due to reports of a romantic relationship between the two of you. Corey has a decades-long record of physical battery, sexual harassment, illegal lobbying for a Venezuelan oil company.
Sexual harassment, right? Physical battery.
And bringing a loaded gun into a federal building.
Bringing a gun into a federal building. It sounds like Corey's a fucking crash out. Sounds like Corey's he's a little bit of a wild man. He's a little bit of a, he's rough around the edges. Yeah. Yeah, you see, here's what I'm thinking is happening. She knows that this is what she got at home, right? She knows that this is the man that she's married to right here. This guy right here. Probably they don't have much sex, and she's more than likely incredibly embarrassed about this relationship. And so she needs, she wants the complete polar opposite of this. She wants a toxic masculine guy, guy that's gonna fucking grab her by the hair and just, put it on her. And so that's and of course there are privileges that come along with that, corruption that comes along with that. Yeah, that's what that's looking like. Man, this is rough. So I think she's actually addressed this situation. So let's close by listening to that.
Former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is asking for privacy and prayers tonight. She said to be devastated by a report alleging her husband.
Pray for my husband who likes to wear fake titties. That's a prayer right there, boy. Can you pray for my husband that likes to put balloons in his shirt and pretend he got big old titties?
Been what is being called a cross-dressing double life. Senior national correspondent Rich Edson has details tonight. Good evening, Rich.
Good evening, Brett. Well, former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and now President Trump are responding to a report regarding Noem's husband's alleged online activities. A spokesperson tells the Daily Mail that she's devastated and that, quote, the family was blindsided by this, and they ask for privacy and prayers at the time.
Yikes, yeah. Blindsided is one way to put it.
President Trump tells the outlet he knew nothing about it, adding...
He's like, wow, that is definitely how Donald Trump would start that response. Wow. Wow. I mean, that's how anybody would start that response in all reality. You hear about that shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Well, I feel bad for the family. If that's the case, that's too bad. I don't know anything about it.
Wow, I feel badly for the family. If that's the case, that's too bad. The Daily Mail alleges it obtained hundreds of messages between Byron Noem and 3 women involved in a site where men cross-dress. The Mail posted several of these photos and writes, Byron Noem allegedly sent women in the community $25,000 in virtual payments. The publication says Byron Noem did not deny the explicit conversations, but says he never put national security at risk while his wife was secretary, setting up a potential
25 bands. 25 bands. He'd probably not even, you know what I'm saying, giving her any loving at nighttime, and he's sending 25 bands over to porn stars with huge, gigantic, cartoonish boobs, while he himself also has balloons in his t-shirt. Wow, that's a crazy thing to have to like think about if you're someone's wife, no?
Blackmail situation. Quote, yeah, I made no comments like that. That would lead to that. Byron Noem operates a crop insurance agency. He and Kristi Noem married in 1992. They have 3 adult-age children. Earlier this month, President...
Damn, imagine the kids. You think the kids know about this shit? Oh my, she definitely knew about this. She definitely knew, which is why they're still married, even though she seems to be having an affair with a government official, like damn near in broad daylight. Because he's like, shit, well, I ain't gonna complain, you know, because he knows what kinds of craziness he be up to. It's just so funny how conservatives are constantly electing people and putting people in positions of power that live lives that are completely contradictory to the values that they profess to hold. It's just, and it keeps happening. So if you're a conservative, how about this? How about you just, you know, give the LGBTQ people and all that, give them a break. Because every person that you think is solid that you elect, turns out they on that shit too, sometimes way crazier than this. There are gay men looking at this shit like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? There are trans people looking at this shit like, wow, yikes, that's a lot. And so, yeah, crazy shit. But y'all let me know what you think in the comment section down below, man. This is an insane story. And like I said, not really, it's not really a fair exchange in terms of karmic justice, but it is better than nothing. All right, guys, till next time. Peace out.